that's a $72 billion business.
Listen, okay, it's the best book. But 30,000 in 2 months from taking dogs, like
Okay.
I
Yeah, I was
don't
mad.
like
I didn't get
dogs,
no
but I might have to
PPP
learn to
loan.
like them.
Okay, people. I keep trying to tell people. They be like, "Wait, from a dog?" Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Walrus CEO podcast. Today, I have with me Tori. I met Tori as well at the Content Creation Bootcamp a few weeks back now, and she has a podcast of her own coming out. And I just thought it'd be great to bring her on and have a little chit chat. I feel like sometimes when you kind of meet those people, I said this before, and y'all just kind of vibe, and you can just talk for hours, you never want to let those people go. So I definitely wanted to bring Tori on because she's definitely one of those people that, like, when we met, it was like, boom, fireworks. So I feel like she has a wealth of knowledge to kind of share as well. And I'm really excited about her podcast too. So maybe Tori, how about you give us a quick intro or kind of background on yourself and then maybe about your podcast.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me, Shanice. I'm so excited. Um, I'm Victoria Littlejohn. I am the host of the Melanated Hypothesis.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I also have a dog boarding business. I dog board on the road, and I'm podcasting from on the road as well. So I live
Uh-huh.
in hotels in cities near you.
Oh, wow. Okay. So first of all, let's dive into what is a melanated hypothesis? What is it about on the podcast?
So I really want to attack self healing, what healing in general from a holistic way.
Mm-hmm.
So it's about accountability, just gaining self awareness, self control, self respect, and I want to do it in real time of how I've done it. What
Uh-huh.
I'm going through as I'm developing these emotional intelligence, which is basically what it is, just being able to see the self awareness, have self awareness for myself, see it for others, so that I'm in situations where, if I get triggered or some type of trauma comes up, I can handle myself,
Right.
and just showing what that looks like in real time.
Yeah. Yeah. I really love that. I think that a lot of podcasts these days are very much so, while they are helpful to, our audience, they're also like, healing a little bit, to the host as well. And that's what I find too, a lot of my guests that I'm interviewing, I'm also learning from myself. I'm also like, I didn't look at it like that, So I love that you kind of pinpointed that in terms of it being you kind of taking us through your journey as well and kind of giving us like a real time feedback. So I really, really appreciate that. I'm so excited for it. How did you, or what maybe inspire the name? That's what I'm trying to get to, a melanated hypothesis. I think it's so unique. I haven't seen it before. I haven't seen anything like it. So what's maybe the backstory there?
Honestly, just my relationship with God, it just
Mm-hmm.
I talked to God and I heard that years ago, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't know what it was either.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I've realized that it's my hypothesis, just what I see in the world. I'm very just observant, but
Mm-hmm.
almost in a like I call it my higher self and lower self, where I can step back and see what lower self is doing, and like lower self is foundational little Victoria, and
Yeah.
she's wilding sometimes. Okay, so sometimes I just have to see what's like, give her some time, some space, and kind of step back, and it
Uh-huh.
creates this awareness where I'm looking at the situation. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's just my hypothesis when I look into the world, what I'm seeing, what I'm healing from. Because, hurt people.
Right.
And generally, uh, just growing up in the inner city, I was told, somebody hit you, hit them back. But
Yeah.
then when I transitioned to like the real world, going in the inner city, that's a completely different world in itself. And then going
Mm-hmm.
to like the other world, it's like, no, that's assault. you,
Right.
so,
Let's call it what it
so
is.
it's like, yeah. So just transitioning is that I'm deconditioning myself. And so I'm just basically kind of showing what that is from deconditioning myself in the, things I maybe have had trauma around, and
Mm-hmm.
then deconditioning myself from how this the melanated world that I live in, like what that, how that is affecting me or affecting my
Mm-hmm.
community.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that
I
makes sense.
it does. It does. I really love it. That's why I'm like, I'm so excited for it, honestly. But I love how you paralleled your higher self and like your lower self. That
Mm.
was a point that I was like, wait, what? That is really interesting. Like, I'm really sitting here thinking about, like your higher self and your lower self. Your lower self is maybe that self that kind of experiences that trauma, maybe so. And then maybe your higher self is kind of, what kind of helps you pull you out of that trauma in a sense, like what you've learned from that, maybe.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Um, I feel like that with the lower self, we kind of, that's just kind of everything the world taught us.
Right.
And so, if the world may not have taught us all of our emotional intelligence and how to handle situations, we
Mm-hmm.
react with our trauma responses, fight, flight,
Yeah.
freeze, and fawn. So, it's, I'm really into neuroscience. It's that's why I can't really pinpoint exactly what it is, because it's just how I think.
Uh-huh.
Just with all the information just swirling in my head,
No.
we have two brains.
I think you're doing a great job, a phenomenal job. Actually, it makes sense. It makes perfect sense to me. Um, and it's just kind of like, when you kind of hear something, it's like enlightenment. There you go. It's like a light bulb is going off in my head. And I'm like, again, there are things that I don't think about, or maybe I don't kind of articulate in such a way. Because I feel like a lot of times I just have things like, oh, this big old word cloud, but I'm like, how do I condense it and make it make sense? But I feel like you just did that. And I feel like that's what a melanated hypothesis is going to do for its listeners, its audience, So really, really excited and looking forward to that. Maybe was there a point in this journey for you that kind of was maybe the impetus of you creating a melanated hypothesis? Was it kind of a turning point when you were like, okay, I need to have this podcast, I need to put it out there?
Uh, okay, so I, that's a good question.
Mhm.
I went so I'm originally from DC,
Okay.
and I went to North Carolina. I was like, I gotta go. I literally was like, the map, and it was like,
Yeah.
okay,
Hmm.
Greensboro. And I just kept driving down there, going. Once I got settled in, I transferred my job, and once I got settled in, um, it was like I could breathe.
Right.
It was, it was just like I didn't know what it was at that time. I didn't have the words to articulate it, but I was just always reacting in my environment. I was always tense. I was in this what I call survival mode. So
Hmm.
when I went to nurturing North Carolina, where like everybody is not shady, and I don't have to like,
Yeah.
it was completely different. It was a culture shock.
Uh-huh.
So I was able to slow down and think about like, what do you want? Like, what do you, you know? And I met a guy in California. California is just ahead of us in general. And he
Yeah.
was talking about all of these. He was like, "Yeah, I don't work." He's like, "Yeah, they got all these apps, so then I just pick up shifts." And this was in like
Oh.
2017. And I'm like,
Uh-huh.
"You don't work? You mean I don't gotta get up? I don't gotta get up and stay up late because I want to make my dream happen. I can just make my dream happen all day."
Hmm.
And he was like, "Yeah, pretty much." And I was like,
Wow.
so I'm thinking I'm about to move to California.
Right.
um,
Right.
but so I was working at the post office, and I had, what my grandma calls the good government job with the benefits, and you
Hmm.
can't leave that, and I was like, post office at the summer, I'm healthy out here. I mean, it's hot. I can't keep doing this.
Yeah.
So I I made a plan. I saved up money, and I started the transition to like sell everything I had, and
Uh-huh.
it kind of just woke up this. this thing that I do. I call it Talks with God, where I'm just essentially just everything I'm thinking. I'm just kind of talking, and I was doing that. I moved out of my house and moved into an apartment. I
Mm-hmm.
had 4 dogs, so I was kind of still stuck because I had the dogs. So I was trying to like find them homes, and I was really particular.
Right.
But once I got all of that together, I went on the road, and I would just record and
Mm-hmm.
record, and I started what I call the Black America Tour, and that I couldn't figure out what that was either, but it
Mm-hmm.
came to me, um, and it just with me recording just my talks with God on just what I'm thinking about, and then
Mm-hmm.
me actually going to all these different cities, Jackson, Mississippi,
Mm-hmm.
Memphis, um, Dallas. I wanted to like bring the culture into it, and I don't know, just I didn't know what I was doing,
Yeah.
but it took me on this wild journey.
Yeah. No, that's good. That's so good. I feel like that is a common misconception all the time. And I feel like that's what stops most people from starting is they don't have it all figured out. They don't have the A to B, A or A to Z plan figured out, right? They want to have it all
Mhm.
out nice and neat before they kind of get started. And what I kind of just got from your story is you didn't really know what was going on. You just kind of went, right? You just kind of let God lead you in that way, maybe in your talks with God too. And you kind of just figured out along the way. And that's so applicable to almost every aspect of your life. You're not going to have it all figured out before you kind of get started. I kind of read that before, like in one of my devotionals. A lot of times we want God to remove those obstacles and those boundaries before we even embark on the journey. And it's just like,
Mhm.
no, I just want you to kind of get started. It's kind of like, taking the first step without seeing the whole staircase, right? You just got to jump in. So I really love that you kind of accentuated that with your story. I did want to circle back to these apps that you were talking about. Is that how you got introduced to dog boarding, or was that maybe something different that you guys were doing on the apps, maybe?
I did start. So it's an app called Rover,
Oh, okay,
and
okay. I
I
have heard
kind
of
of
that.
started there. Yeah, I started there, and I would just do it in every city.
Mm-hmm.
But in my head, I had a car. There was Lyft.
Okay.
My Lyft worked in every city. So this is like nobody. I haven't talked to nobody else that Lyft worked in every city. And
Right.
so my Lyft that I set up in DC, it worked in all the way in Lubbock, Texas, West Texas. I was doing
Mm-hmm.
Lyft in West Texas, and it allowed me to meet the people in every city, and it was like that was just God given to me because I'm
Yeah.
talking to everyone. I mean, I was learning about. It's crazy because I wasn't an executor, but I met the VP of TikTok, and I was taking her to the airport. She was headed back to China, and I didn't know what
What?
TikTok was. Like, this is for the kids. And, I just,
Yeah.
but I'm just talking to people. These are just people to me. I love their experiences. And
Mm-hmm.
so, um, doing Lyft, doing Uber, and then the tips from these conversations were crazy. And I
Right.
didn't even know, like, it was like I was a bartender or something, which I,
Yeah.
I went and got my bartending license because I thought that, okay, I can have these little trades. And when if I'm out there, I can just get me a little job real quick and
Yeah.
I'm good. I was car dwelling. So
Mm.
all of these things, it kind of like just me being so comfortable in my car to go to every city and
Yeah.
sleep in my car if I needed to, or um, if I wanted to get a room, I would work, get enough money. I would get little jobs if I needed to, but I would just plant a seed in every city and just
Yeah.
live there and gulp in that culture.
Uh-huh. Oh man. Okay, so I just got back from Texas actually. I'm kind of going between Texas and Atlanta doing work, right? And I actually had a
Yeah.
Lyft driver kind of told me the exact same thing. He was saying that um he just moved to the city and he was just doing Lyft to kind of meet new people. Um I really love like when you get drivers like that because I feel like you really do have some of your best conversations then. It's not forced, it's just real natural.
Right.
So I really, really enjoy that. I really like appreciate, that you kind of call it out, because I feel like a lot of times too people kind of look down on like drivers, but I'm like, those can be some of your greatest connections, honey. Like the VP of TikTok, like what?
Yeah,
You
and I'm
never know who you're gonna meet.
it's amazing. I met so many. Oh man, and then doing Uber Eats. Listen,
Yeah.
doing Uber Eats in Atlanta is lit.
No,
I
seriously.
mean,
I know.
because you meet everybody,
Yeah.
you everybody eating. So you
Exactly.
literally meet everyone, and if you're just cool, if you're just be a person like they're a person, who
Hmm.
executed. That's how you gotta. To me, that's how I look at it. You're a person who executed. So if I meet you, um, I just, at first I want to, it's an inspiration. Like I want to continue the conversation of execution, what I see, how I can help, or,
Yeah.
just like I'm not trying to. I don't know. Sometimes I think that people will. Um, what am I trying to say? Get caught up.
Okay.
But if you're taking that information, or if you're seeing things as an inspiration, to kind of put you on that path too, to want to be
Mhm.
around like-minded people like that.
Yeah. I get that. I get that. So for you, do you feel like maybe those talks help with your um maybe execution journey or like execution strategies? Like, do you think that it kind of motivated you more to kind of like act on some of the ideas that you had?
Yeah, it first of all gave me ideas. Like
Oh,
these
okay.
people are opening me up to stuff that I didn't know anything about, or
Hmm.
people are telling me about Bitcoin, and I'm like, a what? It's a,
Yeah.
just, but just having conversations with doctors, and just talking about just all kinds of topics. That's what just I can't pinpoint what a melanated hypothesis is, because now all this information I've talked to
Hmm.
people firsthand, you know, owner operator truckers, like all types of people that I'm taking them from A to Z. They're just regular people at this time, but they have this amazing skill or this
Hmm.
amazing knowledge, and they acted on it. So now it's giving me ideas of what I can do, but it's also inspired me to go find my thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you say now that you have completely found your thing, or is it still a work in progress?
Oh, honey.
I know I'm asking you all the
um,
hard questions.
I know. I'm like, okay. So that's one of the topics lately. Actually, just like, God, what? Okay, so I feel like my purpose is in the room, but can you point it
Hmm.
out? Like, just and so healing is what I keep coming to. Like,
Uh-huh.
girl, heal.
Yeah.
Like, we have to heal. The community needs to heal. So this
Hmm.
thing that I say, um, my mission, like we are not oppressed. Like, even if we are oppressed, we are not oppressed. It's
Hmm.
it's a we are conditioned. It's a mentality. So I feel like that applies to almost everything on a macro scale and a micro scale.
Hmm.
And what I'm trying to do is break that conditioning. And so the more it's like the yellow brick road or something. I just step. I can't see. I don't know. I'm just
Uh-huh.
trusting, and I just step, and more ideas come to me. More it makes sense. More I can see more of the puzzle.
That's
And
it.
I just feel uh, like on the journey, I isolated myself. Like I had all this, I'm having all these great experiences. I don't post no pictures. Okay. Like I don't, I'm just taking all this in. And it's like, that's selfish, because like your purpose, like say your purpose is to cure the cancer, but you're keeping it to yourself. That's selfish. So I have to, like, I have to speak on it. I have to say, if I have a voice, I have to use it.
Hmm.
Like so it's just pushing me. I think, am I veering off from the question?
No, I mean a little bit, but I feel like we're getting into like the real crux of like what's important, because you're talking real stuff that I know I deal with myself, and I know someone else on the other receiving end of this probably deals with also. It's not easy. It's not an easy journey. um I really love that you pointed out, even if we are oppressed, even if you are oppressed, you're not oppressed. It's a mentality. Um, and I feel a lot of times you can't talk about that with everyone because everyone's just not there yet. But I love that you pointed that out because that's something that you'll hear from me if you stay around me long enough. I am not gonna claim any struggle. I'm not gonna claim any oppression, anything like that, because that's not my mentality. I'm done conditioning myself as such. I feel like once you kind of put yourself in that bubble, you start to attract everything else that's attached to it, and you kind of wonder why you're going in this downhill spiral and nothing's working out with you. Look at what you're attracting. Look at what you're speaking over yourself all the time, constantly. So for me, I'm like, I'm not participating in the struggle Olympics. I am past that. Okay. We are in an abundant overflow lifestyle living. Like that's where we're at. We're in an abundance mindset. I feel like a lot of times people get stuck in that rut. I'm just like, it's a flip in your mentality. It's really a mindset thing. So I really love how you really, I'm saying, articulated how you just put this together so nicely because I'm telling you, that's all it is.
Yeah, what you're talking about, I come up with all these terms, but it relates to our just two brains. We have our human brain and our animalistic brain. And the animalistic brain is where our emotions are, housed at. So if we're operating in that, then we're automatically just reacting. We're not even processing information. But when we get to that human brain, that rational brain, we are making goals. We see the future. We're putting the puzzle piece together. We kind of start to step back and see this world, in a different way, or, how people start to say things like, oh, it's a matrix, all type of stuff, because they kind of step back and see it. So if we are, I feel like the goal is to put the two together and operate in that way so that we can have that emotional intelligence. But sometimes if we don't, we get in a fixed mind state and, we can't see anything but what we know. Just I am who I am and that's it. And then other people have that growth mindset where there's endless possibilities. I'm open to learning more new information. And so I think there's a disconnection with just as far as like being oppressed, feeling like I am where I am and having that fixed mindset instead of seeing that it's a lack of information. Like it's just a lack of information that is missing.
Yeah. Do you think, or maybe from your studies, have you kind of seen or gathered that in order to get to like this growth mindset, is it more so marrying the two brains or one brain more powerful or more present like the other brain? Like, what's kind of your take on that?
I think it's about marrying the two. So I feel like they don't teach us about emotional intelligence. I never heard about that until I started popping off, and then people were like, "You don't have no self-control, girl." Like, and I was like, I mean, I do, but and then I had to figure out, well, why did I pop off?
Right.
I got triggered, and so I ask why to everything. So I go find the answer, and I got triggered because my trauma response is fight. So like, I got us. Don't worry about it. Like, what's up? Like, just, like I'm. It's like, but I mostly operate in my rational brain. I'm very analytic. I overthink everything. Like we need to plan the plan out, okay?
Listen.
So
you were preaching to the choir.
So, yes. And so I black out. Like when I get into the other brain, I'm super emotional, and if I get to a certain point, I black out. So I had to figure out what is that, and I had an issue with talking to. I couldn't find a cultured therapist.
Okay.
They weren't asking me the right questions. So God was like, "Hello, what's up?"
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Oh, okay." And I realized that once I just go in my solitude, I ask myself the right questions. Like my higher self kicks in, and it's like everything I need to ask myself is right there. And so that
Mm-hmm.
self-healing started, because first I was an advocate for therapy, which I still am, but I just realized that nobody knows me like me. So
Yeah.
if I just sit in the pain, because it's painful, it's not easy. Like I have to
Mm-hmm.
sit in the tears and the snot, and I have to ask myself, I have to say why, you know, just whatever the situation is.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I'm realizing that, oh, I need positive affirmations. Like
Mm-hmm.
I like words of encouragement, words of
Yeah.
affirmation. That's one of my love language. But I didn't realize that before. So I'm doing all these things, seeking attention. But it's like you're trying to do backflips just so somebody can say that they're proud of you. Like
Yeah.
first you have to feel that within you.
You can tell yourself that first. Yeah.
Yeah. So these are things that I'm figuring out, just asking myself questions and journaling and crying.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I forgot the question.
I think no, that's good. That's it. That's it right there. Um, I kind of just now saw your background that says good vibes only. That's what I'm getting. It kind of just starts with you first. You gotta make sure that those vibes are on point with you first, before you can go and seek that from someone else, basically, or expect that from someone else. So I get that.
Yes.
So I know probably trying to wrap up here. I know we got some other things to do too. But for you, I just want to kind of ask, just so I'm curious, what is dog boarding? Is that like dog walking?
Okay, so I do house sitting,
Hmm.
and I'll take in dogs. Like for the holiday season, I'll have dogs here.
Okay.
Um, and so like your family going on vacation, or even if they need the day, like doggy daycare. So I'll do that. I'll just board dogs for the weekend, for a week, for
Uh
two
huh.
weeks. During the summer and after COVID, uh, everybody was going everywhere.
Yeah.
So we did 30,000 in 2 months. Um, and it was just me and my ex. He was here. I was doing house sitting, so I was never here. I would come in, make sure everybody was fed, do medicine. Um, like we would do trips,
Uh huh.
lake walks, um, dog parks,
Uh huh.
doggy throw toys, just all types of stuff to keep them active. I had like a whole procedure because I want to make sure these dogs mix, so that there's
Hmm.
no fighting, just all types of stuff. But then I like emotional intelligence. So dogs, essentially, they're very emotional. Like that's how
Hmm.
they communicate. And just being one on one with them, they're very healing. Uh, they, that you talk to your emotions, so it was easy for me to just start to like work on my emotional intelligence with them around.
Hmm.
Um, it's just I call it a healing mechanism, but it's also something that makes money. Like
Yeah.
pet, that's a $72 billion business.
Listen, okay, it's the best of both worlds. Um, but 30,000 in 2 months from taking dogs in, like
Okay,
I
yeah. Oh
don't
man, I
like
didn't get
dogs,
no
but I might have to
PPP
learn to
loan.
like them.
Okay, people, I keep trying to tell people, they be like, "Wait, from a dog?" Yeah, yeah.
Listen, do you still do that now, or are you kind of onto other things now?
So I'm trying to slow down. So my goal is completely stop. I didn't want to leave anyone hanging. So I want
Uh-huh.
to just finish these obligations, and then, new year, new me, I guess.
Right.
So I really want to go hard with the podcast.
Hmm.
So tomorrow is my daughter's death date, and
Mm.
she passed away from preeclampsia,
Hmm.
and I am going to launch um, an episode, special for her.
Mm.
Um, but I am essentially, I want to really get moving the start of next year and take it on the road. It's going to be traveling. I'm going to be in every city again, and I
Yeah.
want to interview people and bring just what I call information to little Lilas, which is my daughter's name. I want to, and not what I think little Lilas are is like essentially I'm like a digital nomad. I'm on the road. And not, while any type of lifestyle is great for, you can make it work for a child, I think that she would need that stability and I'm not necessarily ready. And I
Mm-hmm.
know so many mothers who just make it work and they're not necessarily ready. And so they might not have all the information to even give to Lila.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of the things I feared. Like, is she going to have everything she needs? You know? Um, so I want to start something where I want a melanated hypothesis to be the underground railroad for that information for little Lila.
Uh-huh.
Just everything she needs from her holistic diet to self healing to business to financing, just whatever it is.
Wow.
Like, I want to have partnerships with everyone in the spaces. Like
Wow.
with
Yeah.
I
It's all
am.
encompassing.
Yes.
I love
So
that.
just I'm excited. Just look forward
No,
to it.
I'm excited for you. I'm looking forward for you. That's why I said, like, I've kind of talked to some other people from the boot camp too, and I'm like, I think you alluded to this before, but I really do enjoy getting in those rooms and getting around people like that are like minded, that, really are ambitious and are motivated to like get things done, because it really in turn just motivates me. And I'm like, I don't know if that's a love language, but that truly is something that like I enjoy. Like I enjoy seeing other people succeed and do really well. Like I just dropped in like our group chat the other day. I was like, you know what, y'all? I just gotta say, like, I'm so proud of y'all. Like the content that I'm seeing, the energy, the effort I see y'all putting out, like it makes me so happy. Like I'm liking, commenting, sharing everything, because like that's what truly makes me happy. Truly seeing people step into their why, their purpose, and sharing that with the world, like unapologetically. There we go, Shanice. You know, so I'm so excited. I'm so happy to kind of hear more from your podcast, honestly. But thank you so much, everyone, for listening today. I will drop all of Tori's information down in the show notes as well. Please go follow and subscribe to her podcast right now. Don't delay. You've already kind of heard some of her wisdom and gotten some gems here, honey. So don't stop. I'm pretty sure she has more stories to tell us about her adventures from Lyft, from dog walk, boarding, everything that is going to help you get to where you want to be and where you need to be in life. So don't delay. Go follow her today. I'll see you guys in the next episode, okay?
Thank you.